You know that moment when you're staring at your phone and suddenly realize you're not thinking about anything? That weird pause where it feels like your brain just stepped out for a latte without inviting you along. Neuroscientists actually have a name for that. They call it mind blanking. A brief state where conscious thought just shuts off. It's not daydreaming. It's not zoning out in the usual way. It's your brain taking a coffee break. And here's the wild part. This blank state isn't rare. It may be happening 5 to 20% of your waking life. That's not just once in a while. That's significant. Mind blanking is surprisingly normal. It might even be helpful. Scientists now believe these tiny mental pauses might be a built-in reboot mechanism our brain uses to maintain itself, almost like tapping the reset button on a glitchy phone. When we're tired, these blanks become more common. When we're overloaded, they become easier to trigger. And when we're sleep-deprived, the lights in the brain almost over-synchronize, showing patterns much closer to deep sleep than to normal waking thought. For decades, researchers assumed the brain never stops generating conscious thought, but new studies challenged that idea. One study asked participants to react to flashing numbers while ignoring the number 3. When their minds wandered, their reaction time changed. But when blanking hit, it slowed dramatically. The brain wasn't processing anything. It wasn't thinking slow. It wasn't thinking wrong. It simply wasn't thinking at all. Electroencephalography, e.g., showed that during these blanks, brain signals dipped below normal, even lower than during regular wandering. Imagine being at a noisy party. You hear voices everywhere. EEG can tell you that something's happening, but not who's actually talking. That's where fMRI steps in. It watches blood flow. It watches which brain regions light up. And in the fMRI version of this study, people sitting still with no task, the results were surprising. When participants self-reported blanking, the brain lit up in synchronized patterns, like all the brain lights flicking on in unison during a power surge. This synchronized hyperconnectivity looked similar to deep sleep, not like active thinking, not like problem solving. Almost like the brain stepping one foot into sleep while still awake, which explains why thought pauses, why time slips, why a few seconds disappear. Researchers like Andrelon propose that the brain may occasionally dip into these synchronized states to maintain itself. Micro-maintenance cycles, micro-resets, even during the day. Especially when tired, it may not be great for productivity, but it might be essential for basic brain health. And think about how often you've experienced this. You might not even notice it until someone asks, "Hey, what were you just thinking about?" And you respond with, "Nothing," because literally, nothing was happening upstairs in that moment. No thought thread, no internal monologue, just blank. And here's the interesting final twist. There may be rare individuals who don't experience mind blanking, but good luck identifying them, because the phenomenon is so subtle. Most people don't realize it's happening in real time. They only realize afterward, when the thought returns, when awareness snaps back on. Mind blanking might be our brain hitting the snooze button while we're still awake, a temporary pause in consciousness. And honestly, our brains might need that pause more than we realize.